everybody, and welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts with your hosts. I was going to say your hearts. It doesn't matter. It's your hosts, Ariel and
Raeleen. Hello.
Yola. Damn it.
I was going to say Yola again.
Yola. I haven't failed an intro in a while, and you know what? Let's keep it. We're not going to re-record that one.
Nah.
This is an authentic podcast with authentic people and authentic opinions.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Anyways, that's all for today, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay. We're here, and what can I say? I was wearing a different dress 10 minutes ago, and then I remembered it was the dress I wore in last week's episode. I was like, damn it, I gotta go up, or people are gonna think that I'm wearing the same, or they're gonna think I'm an outfit repeater, which I am an outfit repeater, but it's different when it's your job, right? And also, if it was just spread out 2 episodes apart or something, that'd be fine. But it's kind of nice visually when you look at the episodes and you see the different outfits. You're like, oh yeah, that was that episode or whatever. I was like, I gotta go change.
That's true. I know. Sometimes I have to look back through the episodes to be like, okay, can I wear this shirt again? Oh yeah, it's been a month. It's all good.
Yeah. How about you? Why'd you choose that shirt today?
I said to Kyle, what should I wear? And he said, pick something from the left side of your closet. And so I picked this dress. Yeah.
That's actually cool.
Yeah.
Actually. That is a kind of a weird reason. That's really funny.
I couldn't decide. So I just did that. When you can't decide, make someone else decide for you. That's what I always say.
So freaking true, man.
That's why I always get you to pick my books for me. I have no decision-making skills.
I feel that I should update people on some stuff. Because last week's episode, I started with some kind of sad news about my dog. And the truth is, I don't have a good update. He's still really sick. It's depressing. It's rough. I keep crying a lot. But listen, I bring that up not for pity, not for anything, but just to say that, I get it. I just get it. Friends have dogs and animals that get sick, and it's sad, and here it's my turn, and soon it will be someone else's turn. We're all in this horrible hell together.
Everyone. That's the sad thing about having pets is it's so freaking joyful to have them, but it always has to come to an end at some point, and it sucks.
Which I have been having, I think I talked about this last week maybe, but I've been having a whole existential time about it. I'm like, should we even own pets? Because I'm like, this is so sad. I don't actually think that I can go through this again. And I have to, because I have 2 other animals. I have Eddie and Max, another dog and a cat. And they're eventually going to pass away. And I'm not saying Doug is definitely going to pass away right now, but it's not looking good. And so I'm like, this is going to keep happening for the next few years because they're all older. This is going to keep happening. I'm like, do I actually want to sign up for this again? Because I have dreamt for a really long time of having a cat. I've always wanted to have a cat, and I had cats when I was a kid, and then all of them ran away, which is really sad.
Oh, no.
I think my parents told me they ran away. Probably, they got eaten or killed by a car or something horrible happened to them. But happens. In my brain, I was like, oh, they're just on an adventure. Damn it.
Yeah, if you don't know that they've died, it's a little bit easier to swallow.
It's kind of different, right? But I'm like, do I want to sign up for this? So I've been having literally giant debates with my boyfriend about the nature of life and death and literally interrogating the concept of, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all?
Oh my gosh. I say yes, Ariel, it is worth it. Don't give up hope.
I also, this is different, but it's also freaked me out even more about having children. I'm imagine, I can't even imagine having a kid and they get sick.
The scariest idea, yeah.
It's the scariest thing I've ever heard of. I don't think I know I could handle it, but I just mean
I don't think I can handle it.
I don't know if I want to handle it. It's just wow. Anyway, this is a very existential time is happening over here.
Yeah.
And to everyone who has pets, I'm smooching them all on their head. And I'm sorry that this is a bit of a downer for the beginning of these episodes, but it's just life. We're recording our lives secretly on these podcasts, right? And it's just what's happening. The good news is I don't have rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, thank God. Oh my God. And did you ever find out what color blood is?
No, you know what? I didn't look that up. I should have. Because I also hear blood like becomes a different color when it becomes oxygenated. I don't know how deeply I want to look at. I don't know if I want to have blood facts in my head because I don't want to be that guy.
No, you always bring it out at parties and stuff. Nobody needs that.
Yeah. So I think I've mentioned before on the podcast that I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the cool one. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. All the cool kids have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's what I've heard. When I was 22, and I was diagnosed with just general hypermobility when I was 12. So it's like it's just been a thing that I've always had, and it just means that all my joints are falling apart. But I didn't think it was rheumatoid arthritis. And then I got a new joint hurting. I talked to a nurse practitioner. She was like, I'm nervous you have rheumatoid arthritis. I was like, don't say that to me. What are you talking about? She's like, we should really get this checked immediately. I was like, great.
I love turning 30. It's so fun.
Yeah, I'm like, this is so cool. And my markers are elevated for it, but not in the zone of I have it. So I think basically I'm gonna be calling with the nurse again in like a week or something. I still haven't got my X-ray back. Oh, but basically it was like I got a thing that was like you don't. This is not an emergency. This is an important, like, because it's all done through this online portal because I don't have a family doctor. So it was just like, you have an update. And I went in, it was like, your markers are good. There's no need for a follow-up. Yeah. So now I just have to wait for the X-ray and then I'll do a follow-up. But I have a feeling I'm basically just going to have to check every few years if my markers have gone up again. Yeah. But anyways, that's a big relief. So that's a relief. My own medical woes are fine. I'm going to live to see another day, and it's going to be not as painful a day as I thought it will be. And Doug is still here, and hopefully we'll get better. But if not, I love that dog. So that's all I can say.
He's my favorite dog in the whole world.
Doug is the best dog in the whole world. He's so cool. He's like a little police chief. That's how I imagine him.
That's a good way to describe him.
Right? He's always like brave
he's in
and
charge.
Ready.
Yeah.
He's in charge and he's like, hey, how are you doing over here? And you're like, I'm good. He's like, okay. And then he goes to the next room. He's like, how are you? And you're like, I'm good. He's like, okay, awesome. Yeah. And he's like on patrol all the time. He's very brave.
Yeah.
He saved his brother a lot. It's such a weird thing with dogs. Like, little dogs are usually braver than big dogs. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just, like, big dogs are often actually more scared of stuff than little dogs are. And so there's been, like, 3 different occasions where Eddie has gotten attacked by another big dog. Oh. And it's Doug who has saved the day. Like, he goes in, like, you're not going to mess with my brother. Yeah. And starts just, like, and then, my mom has all these stories of Doug, like, saving the day. So.
Aww. That's so sweet.
He's the best, and I just want him to be okay. Anyways, God, this is a bummer.
Well, let me tell you what I've been up to. Yeah, nothing that exciting, but I think you'll be happy to hear this.
Away from this.
So, yes, I'll tell you all about what I did yesterday. It's like not that exciting, but Kyle and I went swimming. Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, at a swimming pool. Just like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Here's how it all happened.
It couldn't have been outside. It's freaking February.
It's very cold, very cold. But no, a couple of days ago, Kyle just randomly said, I kind of feel like swimming. And I was like, are you serious? Because I love swimming. Like, don't mess around with me if you don't want to go swimming. And he's like, no, let's go swimming. Let's just go tomorrow. And so yesterday we went swimming.
Not the time for jokes.
No, exactly. I was like, I really, really love swimming. Like, I could swim every day and be happy. Like, it's my favorite way to exercise. Yeah. I love the water. We're both water signs. I'm a Scorpio. He's a Pisces. So we're meant to be in water.
What is Libra?
I don't know. I don't think... There's a third water sign. I don't know what it is, but...
It can't be Libra. That would be crazy. Libra
That would be really cool.
Element, 7th zodiac. Pardon?
We've opened up a can of worms here.
Oh, air. It's air. Do you know what that means? Is that good?
I have no idea.
Good one? Oh, okay.
I don't know anything about it. I just know that I like water. So... I agree with mine. Gotcha. So since we moved here, we haven't really explored the town very much as I would like. We've kind of had a more chill year of just like living in our house. But anyways, so I was like, we should see if there's like a swimming pool around here. And recently on the walk, we actually discovered an outdoor swimming pool, and we were like, well, that's interesting. Cool. We'll have to look into that in the summertime. But there is a big leisure center that just has like an indoor pool with 2 hot tubs and a lazy river, a sauna, steam room. It's got everything you could want. It's got a little cafe.
How far from your house?
Oh, it's like a 2-minute drive. It's so close. Like we could walk there.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Cool.
So we went.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, let's just check this out. We'll just show up around like 5 o'clock. You know, it might be not that busy because it's dinner time. And so we show up. The person asks us like, oh, do you have an account here? And we were like, no. And so she made us like sign up. And then she said, okay, have a good time. And we were like, huh? We didn't have to pay? We just didn't question it. And we just went in. So we're not sure what the situation is. We don't know if it's just free every Sunday evening or if yesterday was just a really lucky day. But we're going to try again on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just going to go and see what happens. And so then we went in and I had to pay $2 for a locker. And I was like, okay, it was free. So $2 is a little steep, but it's worth it. But then after we were done swimming, I got it back.
Hell yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was too good to be true. So
was it the ones where you put it in and then you twist a little key and the key comes out?
Yeah, I had to like twist a key, but also lift up like a locking mechanism to kind of like I had to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it released the key. And then when I came back, cool. I turned the key and I got kind of scared because it wouldn't open. I was like, uh-oh. But then I realized I had to lift the locking mechanism. And then the coin just like popped back out into a little thing. So
that's so
all
neat.
in all, it was very good. It was nice to like get some exercise, but also just to swim. I haven't gone swimming since the summertime. I only went swimming once in the summertime too, and it was in a lake, which was awesome. It was awesome. I love swimming.
That is awesome.
But I just always forget to do it. And I'm just glad it was free because normally it would be like $13 for us to both swim each time at this pool. So
expensive.
I hope it's free every time, or maybe we can sign up for something.
That's why I love my local pool because if you recall, it's $2 a swim, and I'm just like, that is so insanely worth it. Like. It's insane that is a thing, but like it's a community pool in a rural community in the middle of nowhere.
They're just happy for anyone to come swim.
Yeah, they're like, you're here? Oh my God, open the pool.
Give me your $2.
That sounds so neat. I'm so glad that you unlocked that because that's what it's like, right? It's like a video game where you're unlocking parts of the map you didn't realize you had or whatever. That's so cool.
Exactly. And it was actually, the pool was very close to the parking lot where I roller skated for the first time. So it's like, everything's kind of connected. I'm still on the hunt for a good roller skating spot, although I guess while we're on the topic, we also have been going for lots of walks lately, and we together discovered a park that has tennis courts and also pickleball courts. The fences are locked and closed, but the pickleball court has a very low fence. So I'm thinking I could hop that fence and roller skate in there because it looks smooth. It looks really smooth in there. So I haven't done it yet because it's been kind of rainy. But it's on my docket for the spring. I'm gonna go roller skate around those pickleball courts.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Kind of related to this, Connor very excitingly got a bonus at work.
Ooh.
This has never happened to Connor before. I've also never gotten I pretend I get a Christmas bonus every year because YouTube pays creators more at Christmas. We have a better AdSense thing, and it's not because of us, and they're not being nice. It's just that advertisers pay more during Christmas because it's like the Christmas rush or whatever. And so YouTubers just happen to make a bit more money during Christmas. So I always pretend I get a Christmas bonus, but I don't actually. I'm doing the same amount of work or whatever. But Connor this year got a Christmas bonus. And we were like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And he just found this out. It's like delayed or whatever, but he just found this out like a week ago.
Yeah.
And then it just got confirmed yesterday or something. And we were talking in the car. We were like, what are you going to spend your bonus on? And I was like, I really think you've got to like, A, remove the tax, B, put some money away from savings, C, he always donates 10% to charity. So like you do all that. But then you're going to have some money left over. And I really think you have to do something that's truly fun. Because that's the point of a bonus.
Totally.
That's the point of a bonus. It's money you weren't relying on and you get to like enjoy it. And I was like, what would you buy? And I don't know what I expected Connor to say, but he said a kayak. And whoa, I know that you guys don't know Connor at all, but that's the least Connor. I was like, what? He's like, what if I got a kayak and then while you were swimming, because Connor really hates swimming, which is why I thought he wouldn't want a kayak.
Yeah.
While you were swimming, I could kayak around you. And I was like, that sounds like my dreams are coming true. That sounds incredible.
Weird,
but
perfect.
color? I know. I was like, what color would it be? He's like, red. It would be red. I was like, yeah. Yeah, so now I really want him to get a red kayak.
That's perfect. I want him to get a kayak too. If he gets a kayak, send me a picture.
I will. Honestly, this makes me want to get a kayak as well. Because there are lots of situations where, like, we could kayak together to a spot and then I swim, or we could just both
kayak
like
around.
Right now we could both go kayaking, even though it's February, so we probably wouldn't. But we could go kayaking totally now. It's not gonna be cold, but I wouldn't be able to swim. So I'm like, maybe we should both buy kayaks. I love this dream. This is really so cool.
That's a good idea. And yeah, that's something we've talked about too. Like Kyle would really like kayaks, and I also would really like a kayak. It's funny. I actually kind of think of Connor when I think of kayaks, because remember when we came out and visited you in BC, Kyle and Connor and CJ were all like kayaking around and stuff while we were just laying on a dock.
We were just laying on that dock. That was a perfect moment.
Yeah. That was, it felt like something out of a YA novel.
It did. It was just like warm and happy and sunny and friendshipy and beautiful. It was awesome. Yeah. No, I really remember that. And that's what Connor said. He was like, because my dad was like, I told my dad about this. I was like, Connor wants to get a kayak. Yeah. And my dad was like, Connor, have you done much kayaking before? And Connor was like, well, we did kayaking in Lake Country when we lived in BC. Yeah. And my dad was like, oh, yeah, you're totally right. And he was like, I love doing that. That was really fun. And I was like, I didn't realize it made such a big impression on you. I love this. We should definitely do that. Because I feel like Connor and I have had a hard time. I don't think, actually, I think you and Kyle aren't this way, but Connor and I have had a hard time finding like a sporty thing that we both like to do together. I know that you like go on hikes together and different stuff like that. But it's like kind of been tricky. We never find something that we both like. Yeah. So I'm like, the idea that we could both go kayaking, or just like you kayak, I swim.
Yeah, like, that's perfect. So fun. Yeah, Kyle often wants to throw around a baseball, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I'm not really a big fan of that anymore. I'd rather swim. So that's awesome.
There was a time when I was a kid, my parents put us in baseball because my dad really likes baseball, and so like CJ and I were in T-ball or something. Like we were kids. But then my dad and my mom joined a baseball team. What? I know. So they were on like a co-ed adults, like, over 40 baseball team. And it was so much fun. Like, I remember they had so much. I should encourage them to do that again.
That's cute. I think that's there's something really nice about that idea. Just like a family going out and doing the same sport, even if it's not all together. I don't know. That's really wholesome.
Yeah. I know. God, I really did have a wholesome childhood.
I'm like, that's adorable.
It's Saturday, time for baseball. Everyone get your little shirts. All right, let's talk about books, baby. We're gonna start with a book haul because I have books to haul. And Raeleen kind of doesn't, but she sort of does. So
yeah, I wanted to participate, so I made my own version of a book haul.
Yeah. Raeleen did the kindest thing, and it was just sort of a coincidence. You had slowly over the weeks and months collected some things to send me, and I think it just got to a tipping point, and then I got engaged, and you were like, okay, it's time to send this.
It's time, yeah.
And it was a coincidence in that, like, I was having this last week is just insanely a rough week, and then I got this package from Raeleen, and I was like, I needed this.
I'm so glad the timing worked out like that.
The timing worked out so well. So there were a couple of goodies in the bag which were really cool, including these handmade crocheted little coasters that I'm obsessed with. They're so perfect, Raeleen. Yay. So loving those, and I forgot to bring it down, but a little bandana. I'll have to wear that in a future ep.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we should both wear our bandanas. It's a matching one to the one that I made that I showed in an earlier episode.
So cute. So cute. I love it. And I wore it for the rest of the day yesterday.
Doesn't it feel fun to wear a bandana? I love it.
It is fun. And Connor just kept saying, you look so cute. And I was like, I know, I feel cute. I feel like I'm like cottagecore.
I feel like you were born to wear that bandana. Like it's just so cute. It's just perfect for you.
It's so happy. And then there was also a little wax melting kit, which is so fun. Like for stamping letters and stuff. I love that. But of course, there was also books. So I want to show the books that Raeleen sent me. They're all awesome. There is a controversy, though, and I didn't know if I was going to tell you about this controversy, but I've decided I will tell you about the controversy because I think it's really funny. So the first one, they're in no order, but the first one I'll show is At the Altar, Matrimonial Tales by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This is obviously so sweet because you guys know how much I love Lucy Maud Montgomery. And Raeleen, you said you bought this a few months ago and wanted to wait until I was engaged.
Yes. Yeah. I found that and I was like, this is the perfect engagement present for Ariel.
It's so perfect.
I've been hanging on to it. I don't even know how many months, but I've had it a long time now.
I think that's so funny because I had that cat ornament sitting in my shelf or my desk for over a year. I was like, that's going to go to Raeleen.
Right. I also bought that book like before I even knew that there was a possibility of you getting engaged. Like I just knew it might happen. So I bought it.
Wow. You felt it in your bones.
Yeah.
I love that. You wrote, Ariel, congrats on getting engaged. I found this book months ago and I'm so glad I can finally give it to you. Love, Raeleen, 2024. So people may not know Lucy Maud Montgomery was really prolific when it comes to short stories. She wrote so many short stories and they are all in a bunch of different bind-ups. I don't really understand if I've never seen like a full bind-up of all her short stories or like collections of volumes or whatever. They're all in like, these are the orphan tales and these are the countryside tales and these are, and it's just like a little bit of a mess, but I love this. It's perfect. So I really want to read this because here I am getting married.
Matrimonial tales.
It's perfect. What are they doing they're being matrimonial on the cover here. She's peeling an apple and he's hungry. That's what they're doing.
That's what it's all about. That's marriage for you.
Then she sent me Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. This is really fun because I talked to Raeleen about this book because at was it our 100th episode? No. 150th? We did something. I forget what it was. For a special episode, or Christmas or birthday or something. Yeah. We were like, let's buy each other books that have to do with with one of our past episodes. One of our past 100 episodes. It was 200. It was episode 200. And so I had written a little short list of things like memes, jokes, inside jokes. And one of them was that we had this episode where we talked about being in our 80s on a porch reading together. This was like a dream we have. And so I was like, okay, what is a book about two old ladies on a porch? Yeah. And this was the only one that kind of came close to that. But it seemed quite long and it wasn't exactly that. Like one of the characters is like 20 years, 30 years older than the other character. Yeah. So I was like, it's not perfect. And I ended up going with a different book. Yeah. But you then found this in a thrift shop, I think. And
I found 2 copies at a book sale. And I was like, do you still need this? Because we talked about it and boom. Now we both own it.
It's perfect. And I didn't realize until just now, it's blurbed by Harper Lee.
Oh, wow.
Harper Lee says it's a richly comic, poignant narrative.
I really think that's going to be a good buddy read for us. I think it'll be very wholesome, a good thing to balance out the Clockwork Orange vibes that we had going on.
God, that was scary.
Yes.
Very scary. All right. And then the final book you gave me is There by Tommy Orange.
Indeed.
Mr. Orange. So this was a book that you read. Well, it wasn't recently anymore.
No, it was a few years ago. It was maybe 2021 actually, or 2022.
And you really loved it. Yeah. Doesn't he have a new one that just came out?
It's coming out, I think, this month, actually. Wait, I pre-ordered that. I should look into that. Yeah. It might be showing up on my doorstep any day now. But yeah, that's sick. He has a new book.
I love that. So you gave this to me because you just think I would really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a great book.
Here's the controversy, Raeleen.
Do you already have it? I asked you to send me all of your yellow books because the spine is yellow.
Okay, well, I must have, though, because it was in the yellow spines.
I didn't see it.
Here's what's nuts, okay? Here's what's nuts, okay? I was flipping through my copy because I was like,
Did I send you that one too?
Do I not? There is a bookmark from Iron Dog Books, a bookshop I've only ever been to with you. So we bought this together.
That's idiotic. That shows you how short my time span memory is.
What's funny, though, is my copy got the cover bent and ripped.
Oh.
I don't know how.
It's funny because even though I scoured all the photos you sent me and didn't see it, I still in my heart felt like you already had that book. So I was in my heart, I was like, if she already has it, you could just give it to one of your, to Connor or to CJ or something, because I think they would also love it.
Exactly. So I feel like this is still going to go.
Yeah, feel free to regift my copy. I kind of expected that might happen. Yeah.
But I also feel like this has really made me want to reread it. Like it's like a bit, or not reread it, read it. Like it's really given it a boost in my order, in my picking order. This is a sign. Of what will be read next. It feels like a sign. So I did want to let you know, just because that's so funny, that we probably bought this book together 6 years ago or something.
I was there with you. That was bad.
That's the funniest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
And thank you. Good night. Signing off. Ruben out.
Funny. Okay, I have one more book to haul.
Ooh.
And as you know, I work with Book of the Month on my own YouTube channel from time to time, and they send me books. And sometimes I get like really excited about the books and I want to mention them here as well. So this was sent to me, but they don't know that I'm mentioning it here. And it is Good Material by Dolly Alderton.
I just started hearing about this, but I don't know what it's about. I just saw that somewhere and was like, Dolly, what's this?
So, set adrift on a sea of heartbreak, Andy clings to the idea of solving the puzzle of his ruined relationship. Because if he can find the answer to that, then maybe Jen can find her way back to him. But Andy still has a lot to learn, not least his ex-girlfriend's side of the story. In the sharply funny and exquisitely relatable account of romantic disaster and friendship, Dolly Alderton offers up a love story with 2 endings, demonstrating once again why she is one of the most exciting writers today and the true voice of a generation. Well, I mean, okay, those were some big claims right at the end there.
really big.
Isn't that interesting? It seems that there's 2 endings.
That's cool. So it's kind of, that immediately reminds me of a Taylor Jenkins Reid book that's about like a woman's life that goes on 2 different paths, and it just follows both different timelines to see what would have happened, and you don't know which one's true or not. And I feel like that could be kind of the vibe with that too. Like there's 2 possible endings, but you might not know exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me. So I tried reading another book by Dolly Alderton, Everything I Know About Love, and I really didn't enjoy it. I found it frustrating.
I own that one, so that's intriguing.
I ended up DNFing that one. I made it probably a third, maybe halfway through it. Like I pushed through farther than I usually would. And I just in the end was like, you know what? I'm just not enjoying this one actually. And I don't have it anymore. But I'm still intrigued about Dolly Alderton because I hear about her all of the time. And this sounds cool. And I'll be honest, I love the cover. That's part of it. That is part of it. So I'm curious. I'm curious about it. And I was excited that it was one of the ones I got sent this time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that. All right. How about you? You've got some stuff to talk about.
Yes. So I haven't hauled anything because I've been a superstar about not buying books. I don't know how it's been happening for this long, but
hell yeah,
I've been doing a really good job and I'm proud of myself. So I decided to do another TBR haul. And all of the books that I've picked to kind of shout out today are all books off of my 24 in 24 TBR. So this is a little peek behind the curtain so you can see some of the things that I've been wanting to read. So I'll start with a book that you actually gifted me. This is on my list, The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. This is one that you gave me like many years ago. It's been a few years now since you gave this to me, and every year I'm like, I should read that, and then it just never happens. And that's like part of my goal to like read more fantasy. Last year I was supposed to read this was supposed to be one of the books I read. That was kind of in the back of my head, so I've finally decided to actually put it on my TBR. And this one is so fun because I really don't know anything about it. All I know is that it's about a unicorn, and there's a character named Schmendrick. Every time I look at the back, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. But this also is helpful towards my goal of reading like older books, because this came out in the 60s, I think. So that's also partly why it's on there. Like my TBR is almost 50-50, like books that were published before 2000 and books that were published after 2000. So if I read all of them, then my goal will be accomplished just naturally. So then the next book that I've got is Jasper Jones by Craig Silvey, which is another book that I've been meaning to read for years. And this is by an Australian author, and it's kind of hailed as like an Australian To Kill a Mockingbird. It kind of has a similar vibe, a similar storyline. And this is one that actually I started reading a few years ago, and I just wasn't in the right mood for it. So I put it down after reading 10 pages or whatever. And I've just been meaning to pick it up ever since. And actually it's got a very cute bookmark in it because I tried reading it. Look at this. It's got sushi on it.
Sushi.
That's so cute. I love that. I don't often start books and then put them down intending to pick them up again, but anytime I do, I always just leave a bookmark in there. So that's where all my bookmarks are. But yeah, so this one I'm very excited to read, and it's one of the few YA books I still have on my shelf. So I think that'll be a fun, well, not fun, but it'll be a quick read probably. And then the last book I wanted to shout out is a honker. It is.
Oh boy.
Not To Kill a Mockingbird. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. Different bird. So yeah, this is probably one of my most mashed potato books that I still have going on. Like, I've been meaning to read this ever since Haruki Murakami really like came onto my radar as like an author that I was enjoying and wanting to read. And I keep putting it off because it's long and I know it's going to be really dark. Like, that's all I know about it, but I'm still very excited to read it. I think I'm really going to love it. I think it's going to be up there as one of my favorite Haruki Murakamis. But also because of that, there's so much pressure on it, which of course makes me scared to read it. But yeah, so those are some of the books that I am hoping to read this year. Wish me luck.
That's cool though. I'm really curious what you think about the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles.
Right.
It was the first Haruki Murakami that I tried to read.
Yeah.
I think I made it like, it's like 650 pages, right? I think I made it like 350 pages in.
Yeah, it's around 600.
So basically, in my undergrad, at one point, I realized, and I feel like people don't realize this, and they should. I realized that I was allowed to design my own courses.
Ooh.
So people don't know that you're allowed to do self-directed courses. If you have a project idea, you have a pitch, you have an actual plan, like you can't lie and not do anything. But if you have an actual plan, you can then go to a professor and say, I want to do a self-directed course in this, and this is my plan. And if they sign off on it and agree to be your professor for that course, which is just a supervisor, you can just do self-directed courses. So I did 2 of them because I was like, I just have books I want to read and I want to make YouTube videos instead of essays. And so one of the courses that I designed for myself was magical realism.
Right.
So this was like, I was 19. So this was back when I was reading like a lot of A.S. King and really enjoying that surrealist, magical realist thing. And I was like, okay, I also want to try 100 Years of Solitude. I also want to try, or no, was it? I think I did House of the Spirits. Yeah. House of the Spirits instead of 100 Years. I did House of the Spirits. I did one A.S. King book. I did that book, Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, and there was another one. And I had to stop reading it. First of all, it was too long. I was just like, oh God, I only have a semester and I have 5 other classes and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, this is way too much. But secondly, it was the most, like, there's a lot of war crimes in that book. And they're so scary, Raeleen. Like, it was really graphic. That was the thing. It was so graphic, and I hadn't read anything like that before, and I was, like, not in the right headspace. I was, like, moving on.
Yeah, no,
but I've always wanted to go back and finish it.
Could you handle it now? Like, is it?
That's the thing. It was literally a decade ago. So I'm very curious now. You're 29. What do you think about it? Should I go back and actually try that one out or not?
Definitely. Well, I will keep that in mind when I do eventually get to reading
I'm curious.
It. I'll keep you in the back of my
curious.
head.
You can message me when you're like, oh, I'm at the war crime part. And I'll be like, it's fucked up, isn't it?
Oh, no, I'm scared.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's transition into what we've actually read and what we're currently reading. So I'm going to start us off because I finished Letters to Eugene by Hervé Guibert and Eugene Savitskaya. Hervé Guibert was a French writer and journalist and also a photographer. He passed away in 1991 of AIDS. Eugene Savitskaya is a Belgian writer still working today. My opinion on this book is basically what I had said to you last week. It was interesting. If you really like letters and you like poetry, I would give this a go. I think you'll find it interesting. If you think of the letters not just as correspondence between 2 people, but as like little poems in and of themselves, I think it's actually an interesting project. However, if you don't like letters or you don't care about letters, and if you don't care about poetry, then I don't think you're going to enjoy this because it didn't have a plot. It didn't have a story that it was moving towards. It didn't have a particular beginning, middle, or end. There was no through line. So it was a little bit monotonous because you're like, this is very arbitrary. Like, kind of feel like I could read them in any order. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's also just not the greatest relationship. Basically, like I talked about last week, Hervé is like in love with Eugene.
Yeah.
And Eugene is not reciprocating this well. Like he's like not responding to Hervé's letters. And I found it really hard to read. Like it's just sad. It's just sad to read like a person who constantly is pouring his heart out to this other person month after sometimes like 6 or 7 months without hearing from the other one. And then scary. Eugene will respond and be like, sorry, I didn't respond. And I'm like, oh my God, just break up with him. Just be like,
oh my gosh,
actually, this is not going to work out. Another thing that I realized with this collection that was a little bit tricky was obviously it was, well, I say obviously, I forget if I mentioned it this time, the correspondences between 1977 and 1987. So obviously, there are other ways to communicate in this day and age. In the 70s and the 80s were a phone-heavy time. And so there are a lot of mentions in the letters of, like, that phone call. And I'm like, okay, so I'm actually missing a lot of the story.
That's true. You're missing a lot of context and stuff.
I'm missing a lot of what's going on in between the letters. And so I didn't even feel like I was getting a full picture of what was going on. Right. The first sentence of the book is a note on the present edition. Quote, no collection of correspondence apart from the letters to Eugene Savitskaya if he wishes, and no interviews, Hervé Guibert wrote in the last line of his literary testament, November 3rd, 1991. So basically he was like, no one, you're not allowed to publish my letters and don't publish my interviews unless Eugene wants to publish those letters that I sent him. Yeah. So he did get full permission to publish these letters. I don't think that it's weird that he published them or anything. I think it's a cool thing to have out there, and I think it's cool to have like a queer relationship from the 70s. Yeah. Kind of just published and accessible cool and available. So that's cool in and of itself, but I just didn't love it. I found it interesting. It's one of those books where I was like, if I was in university, I'm like, I'm sure I could write an essay about this thing. Yeah. But again, do I want to reread it? No, I don't. I won't revisit this, you know? Yeah. It was so sad. It made me sad, actually. I was like, I would like for them to get back to, I would like for this to end well, or for Hervé to like find the love of his life or something. And then I find out Hervé dies of AIDS. And I'm like, this is actually very, in his 30s. Yeah. I'm like, this sucks. Ugh. This really sucks, actually. Also, this is a tiny little nitpick. Tiny little nitpick. But if I can't say it here, where can I say it? The translator makes this decision. Yeah. So she says, the epistolary farewell presents an especially thorny challenge to the translator. So basically, like the way that you end a letter, like cheers, Ariel, best wishes, Raeleen, like those little phrases. Particularly elusive in French is the shapeshifter je t'embrasse. Word for word, I'm embracing you, a frequent flyer in the correspondence between the two writers. The verb embrasser encompasses both to kiss and to hug, and depending on its context, can swing from a warm but unromantic expression of affection between grandparents to a child, perhaps, or to a performative term of endearment between lovers. In the majority of its appearances here, I've chosen to leave it untouched in the French, to let it radiate in its intricacies and ability to slip as the correspondence itself does between registers of friendship, flirtation, and etc. So I'm like, I read that, and then I was like, wait, the translator's deciding not to translate something.
Yeah, she's like, I can't. Just don't do it.
I'm like, but that's literally the whole interesting thing about being a translator is you have to translate the untranslatable. Yeah. You have to interpret it for me because I'm hearing what you're saying, but I don't know what they mean by je t'embrasse. And you read the letter in the original French with its full context and meaning. Yeah. You're the one who I'm trusting to like end these letters with the correct vibe. Right. And if it just says je t'embrasse, I'm like, I don't know what that means exactly in this context.
Especially if you didn't read that translator's note before reading the letters, like you would just be like, what is je t'embrasse? And you wouldn't know what it could mean, you know?
Right. So I'm glad if she was going to do that she put the forward. She did put it in the forward, and she was like, I'm not translating that. But I read that and I was like, that's weird. I was like, how dare you? Okay, that's really interesting because I don't know what to make of. I don't know. I found that really interesting. I'm not saying that it's not bad. I'm just saying like I've never encountered I read a lot of translated fiction. You and I read a lot of translated fiction.
I wonder if
I've
that's
never read
else.
a translated fiction book before where the translator was like, I'm not going to translate that. And you're like, okay. All right. Okay. What did you finish anything this week? And if not, what are you reading?
No, I haven't finished anything because I'm still reading A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and it is quite long, as I'm sure I've said before. It's like 500 pages, just under 500 pages in this copy I have. And I'm about 150 pages in. So I didn't read a ton over the past week, but I did read a bit and I'm enjoying it. It's just like really long. Like it's the type of book where I'm like, I'm really liking this. I kind of feel like it could have and maybe should have been like a 250 or 300 page book, but I haven't read the whole thing yet. So I can't say that definitively, but I do feel like it's, I don't know, it could be shorter. I don't know how much of it is going to, like, I don't know how much of the main character's life we're going to see. As of right now, she's still a kid. Like, she's 11 at the beginning of the book, but it's kind of gone back. It kind of flips back and forth in time a little bit. So, like, I've gone to a part where it's like, okay, this is her when she's, like, 6, and she's just, like, going to school for the first time. And so you'll get to see little glimpses like that. So I'm like, I don't know if it's going to go beyond her being 11 and, like, kind of go into her adult life. But the fact that it's so long is making me think it might do that. But which is good. I like that. But we'll see. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it, but it is kind of like a slow read because you're just getting glimpses of this American family and kind of their struggles. And so it's quite good, but we'll see how it goes. I do feel it could be definitely not like a new favorite, but I am really enjoying it still. So we'll see how it goes. But I can see myself possibly that like reading this for a few more weeks. So I might start something else to kind of jumpstart my reading a little bit because once again, I'm kind of like slogging behind a little bit. Even though I'm trying to read less books, I'm still like, just barely scraping by to keep up with that goal of reading like around 50. Yeah. And so I'm like, I want to speed along a little bit. So we'll see. This might become more of a background.
Find balance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Find balance. Okay. So we'll see. But that's it. That's all I've got going on.
The thing that I have started reading is 7 Empty Houses by Samantha Schweblin. So this is translated by Megan McDowell, and it is a collection of short stories. And I'm guessing there's 7 stories, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 stories. Okay. I think that they're all about houses. Like, okay, this is interesting though. I feel that a couple things are going on. Number one, I feel that the synopsis on the back is misleading because it seemed a little bit weirder on the back. It literally says, the 7 houses in these 7 stories are strange. A person is missing, or a truth, or a memory. Some rooms are enticing, some unmoored, others empty. But in Samantha Schweblin's tense, mind-bending tale, something always creeps back inside. A ghost, a fight, trespassers, blah, 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 blah. So I thought that there was going to be a little bit more weirdness going on. Yeah.
It sounds like there's just ideas inside the houses.
Yeah, it's more like there's a lot of feelings inside.
Yeah, instead of actual things happening.
So the first story was great. It was about a kid and their mom, and they're on a drive looking at other people's houses because clearly the mom wishes that she lived in a bigger house, and things kind of go wrong, and they there's a little bit of a mess, but nothing weird happened. Like nothing supernatural happened. I was like, okay, no, that's fine. No problem. Second story was really stressful. It was about this like divorced couple and their children and their grandparents and like this kind of family reunion that again got really stressful and like really out of control. And it did end a little weird. Like that, what happened in the story wouldn't happen in real life, but it wasn't like out of the question. Right. It could happen. I was like, yeah, okay.
All right.
That story really, I felt like ended randomly. I was like, huh? Okay. No problem. Moving on. Next story. What was the next story about? Oh, the next story was my favorite, actually. So far. Yeah. It was about neighbors and like just an encounter, a little conversation that these neighbors have, and they are kind of in a loop. They keep having a similar conversation because of a thing that has happened in their past, and it was again, it was very touching and it was very beautiful. It was well written, but it wasn't weird. It was just a conversation between 2 neighbors. I was like, oh yeah, now I'm halfway through the book. All right, I'm halfway through the book, and I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying it, and I think these are good stories, but I feel like the person who wrote the synopsis just literally lied in order to make the scene more enticing. And there was a way to make it enticing for what it actually is. You didn't have to lie. Mm-hmm. You could have said like mundane stories about mundane people living mundane lives.
Yeah, like,
and I would have been like, huh, cool.
Yeah.
Because that's what it actually is. The 7 houses in these 7 stories are strange. Disagree. They're very normal houses. They're not strange at all. So that's weird.
Yeah, I wonder if they just did that because Samantha Schweblin's other books are quite strange. So I think they're maybe trying to like make it seem appealing to people who've read her other books, I guess. Is like Fever Dream.
I'm a little bit like,
really weird.
Have you guys read this book?
Yeah.
They're not that strange.
Huh. Yeah, like check out a different book by her and you'll find strange, but not here.
Yeah. So now I'm in the middle story, which is doing the thing that you literally talked about last time when you reviewed your short story collection, which is what made me pick up I was like, yeah, I should read a short story collection too. This short story that I'm on is like 90 pages long.
Oh my god, that's too long. It's way too long.
That's not a short story.
That could be a whole separate book. Yeah, like that could be its own little thing.
It's like over a third of the book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, in my collection, which is Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century by Kim Fu, most of the stories were like under 20 pages, I would say. I read it on my e-reader, so it's hard to say, but it was, all of them were short except for one. Like there was one that was maybe like 40 pages instead of 20, but all of them were really short.
Can you see that part that I'm holding up?
Is that the whole story?
That's one story is this entire, and like I say, it's over a third of the book.
I was going to say the collection itself is very small. And if that's 7 stories, that's shocking.
The book overall is 190 pages, but then one of the stories is 90 pages.
Holy.
It's interesting. So I'm not disliking it. I don't like when the marketing about a book lies to me. It bothers me. That has nothing to do with Samantha Schweblin. She didn't write that. She didn't decide how this book got to be promoted. And I'm enjoying her stories. But I'm not loving them yet. And also I really don't like a super long story in the middle of other short stories because it kind of disrupts the flow a little bit. I don't feel like I'm reading a short story anymore. But that's what I'm reading. So there you go, everyone. There's our reading update. And now we're gonna go to the mailroom. Alrighty, so here we are in the mailroom, and I've got some comments from YouTube land, Raeleen. Okay, so this comment here from Joe Dunno says, Raeleen's new haircut is such a slay. Now I think this is very funny.
That is really funny. Considering I haven't had a haircut in months.
Raeleen had a haircut.
Thank you, though. I think, was my hair just straightened? It might have looked like I did something to it. Yeah.
It was just straight. They were like, oh my God, you got a haircut and everything. You're like, I just straightened it that one time.
Wow, that's fun. Well, thank you so much. That makes me feel really good.
I know. I thought you'd like that.
Thank you.
Salamalmahi says, it's interesting how my reading life is aligning with Raeleen's. I'm slowly becoming an e-reader girly. Ooh. Plus, I'm reading a short story collection, and I've added the collection she recommended to my Kindle.
Oh my God, I love that. Wow.
I know.
This mailroom is all about me. Love it.
I also did get a couple of really nice comments about Doug, and I just wanted to say thank you, and that's really nice, and I'll keep you updated on the situation as it unfolds. All right, what did you find, Ray?
Okay, well, I've got a couple from our Patreon here first, and I thought this one was really cute. This one comes from Tiana, who says, this podcast reminds me sometimes of the school days when I made an appointment with my best friend to study, and we chatted about everything and nothing for hours and never came to the actual learning. Love it. I think that's to say that we get sidetracked a lot, and I think that's good. I think that's fun.
I think it's good. In fact, I think we should sidetrack more, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just go on tangents. Let's talk about kayaks for a while. God. This next one is
the thing. Sorry, I'm gonna do a tangent here. If Connor gets a red kayak.
Yeah. Well, what color should you get?
What color should I get? Because my impulse would be a purple kayak.
Right.
But I actually would want our kayaks to look cool together.
They should match, and also it might be trickier to find a purple kayak. I feel like that's not a common color for a kayak.
I'm not sure.
That's something to think about.
I'll let you all know.
Maybe you should get a red one too.
2 red kayaks.
It's kind of boring, but would look really striking. 2 red kayaks.
It would look really striking. I saw some kayakers today. They looked really striking.
Like I can just imagine you like as from a top down view, like as like a book cover or something, like 2 red kayaks.
No, it's so true.
Striking. It would look cool.
When I bought hiking boots a couple of years ago, I really distinctly remember this memory because I went to the shop with my dad because my dad's like very outdoorsy and I was obviously wanting his opinion. And so anyways, I was trying on some boots and I found a pair that I really loved, but I didn't like them. Like, I didn't like them enough to buy them simply because they were comfortable. They were the color I wanted. Yeah. They were a great brand. Everything was good. The price was good, but they didn't have red laces. Ooh. And I wanted red laces like Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I was just thinking,
yeah, that's very Cheryl Strayed.
And I said that to my dad, and he was like, well, let's just ask the woman. Because there was a woman who was helping me try on shoes, right? And my dad said she really likes these shoes. Again, remember, I'm like 24. I'm an adult. But he's like, she really likes those shoes, but she really wanted red laces. And she was like, oh, that's fine. We have backup laces. I can give her red laces. Yeah. And she went to the back and she came back. She's like, here you go. Now will you buy them? And I was like, yeah. And I just got 3 red laces.
That's I love awesome. That just goes to show, if you have a question, ask it. Because you might get an answer that you like.
Exactly.
Well, that was a fun tangent. I'm glad that we did that. Okay. We actually took a tangent because of Tiana. Thank you so much. And then this next comment is from Jen, who had a kind of fun follow-up to my Google Slides situation that I talked about last week. She says, if anyone else is interested in a private social media situation and you and your friends all have iPhones, I highly recommend making a shared photo album on the Photos app. It's not as multimedia as a Google Slide, but you can add photos in there and caption them, and then friends can like and comment on them, which I didn't realize. That's really cool. I love it because I recently decided that I'm permanently done with Instagram, and just being able to share nice moments from your day with friends makes it feel like when Instagram was still fun and relaxed. I agree with that. Because I like the idea of sharing photos, but I don't want it to be about validation, and I don't want it to be like for everyone to see necessarily. So like, right. I like this vibe. That's a very, very good tip. So thank you, Jen. And then looking into our Discord, I found a couple of cool pieces of book news. So this person in our Discord who's called Goose is like one of my favorite people on our Discord. They helped us find out when we originally talked about the peach hair. So thank you, Goose. But they also shared this in our Discord. They said, listening to the recent episode and hearing about the book truck, I just remembered this upcoming game. It's a cute indie game where you run a tiny portable bookshop for all of us who want to live the book truck dream but won't be able to. It's called Tiny Bookshop. I think we've heard about this. I feel like
I've heard of it. I think I might have sent you the trailer for it.
Yeah, because it rung a bell when I saw that. I was like, wait, I know about this game. But now I'm like, we should get that game. That seems like a good Switch game for us to play. And then the other piece of news came from Ryan, who let us know that there's going to be a TV show on Apple TV for the book Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which I'm like, finally, this book is like one of the most cinematic, like perfect for adaptation types of books I've ever read. And I love that book when I read it a few years ago. So it stars Jennifer Connelly and Joel Edgerton. So pretty good cast as well. But it'll be on Apple TV, which I don't have Apple TV, so that'll be tough. But I want to watch it. Okay, and then this last one was a kind of a book recommendation that I thought would be good for you and I and for our listeners. So this is from, on our Discord, Zoster Toaster. Very cool name. And they say, I'm currently reading a memory called Empire, and it is so good. Have you all read it? It feels like a mashup of sci-fi and dark academia. The characters are powerful, and the book utilizes an interesting plot device to keep the lore dumping some sci-fi books can fall into from being overwhelming. One of the characters has an imago, I don't know how to say that, essentially a device that transmits someone's consciousness into your brain, so we learn a lot about the setting by experiencing another human's consciousness alongside the main character. Which that sounds so cool. I'm like, wait, that sounds kind of dark, kind of Black Mirror-y a little bit. It's called A Memory Called Empire. I'm not sure who the author is, but I thought that sounded really interesting if anybody wants a cool sci-fi book. There you go.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Who's the author?
The author is Arcady Martine.
Okay.
Seems cool.
Pretty cool.
Seems cool. Well, very cool. Good job. Nailed the mailroom once again. Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode. Another one in the books. On our way to 5 years. We haven't really talked about that, but
it's coming.
This will be in October will be our 5-year anniversary. So
yeah,
just every time that we finish another episode, I'm like, how have we been doing this for so long?
It's shocking.
I love it. We're lucky. We're lucky peeps. So yeah, thank you so much for listening and or watching. Whatever you choose to do is great. And if you want to support the podcast, there's 3 ways that you could do that. Ooh. Number 1, you could share it. You could tell someone about it, spread the good word. Number 2, you could join our Patreon. This is the biggest thing that you could do because it's that monthly ongoing support that makes this whole ship run. And then the third option is checking out our merch. We currently have bookmarks available. We still, I think, have some ball caps. Maybe you want to start getting ready for spring. And we have some new stuff coming soon. So you can take a little look there, see what we got.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're also excited for merch because we've got some new things on the pipeline. Yeah. And they're so exciting. We haven't had like a proper merch growth moment in a while.
Yeah, we've kind of left it by the wayside a little bit, but it's coming.
Yeah, we didn't do that much new merch in 2023, and we've got some really good plans for 2024. So we're really excited to share those when they're ready. But there you go. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.